right, well, my project is open, so I'm just going to add my dinosaur avatar. He doesn't have a head, so be prepared for that. File, import, FBX, and then I've already got it here. There's my dinosaur's name. I don't think I'm allowed to say who he actually is, but maybe you can figure it out. I'm pretty sure everything's okay here. I made this avatar a while ago, so I don't really remember much about it. But he looks to scale. He's just, you know, halfway through the floor. That's fine. All right, I'm just gonna right click him and then choose, I want to move him to the ground. And you know what, let's move him to the center too, just because I'm really anal and I love when things in my mind are perfect. So move avatar to center. Okay, he already was. Great. So, yeah, I love that he's got a hole in his neck. That's really nice. It's probably not really, just gonna have to avoid that while working on him. Is that also a hole? I made this a while ago, like last year, and I successfully used it and made a project with him before, and he fit the real life dinosaur really well. But now it's a year later, and I have more projects with this client, and I don't really remember what was happening before. Yeah, there's more holes. Wow, some really creative choices made from past me getting this ready. But essentially what this is it's a 3D scan of, or 1 second, let's make sure my microphone, okay, my microphone's working. It's a 3D scan of a dinosaur mascot that I've somehow managed to simplify in Blender, and then the version you're seeing now is just like a low poly version. Let's look at him. Mesh. Yeah, okay, that's not too bad. I think, you know what this looks like? I brought him into ZBrush and I said to auto retabo. That is the vibe I'm getting from this. But I'm not too concerned about it, because what I am making out of this is a sloper, and the sloper is based on the dinosaur's actual measurements that I have in real life. So I'm gonna actually, I have that open here. Oh look, there's me closing that out. I have that open here. Oh my gosh, this is my tutorial that I made, and part of the reason why I make these tutorials is because I simply have so much information in my brain at all times that I cannot remember it at all, ever. So writing out instructions are not just for you guys, they're also for me. So here we go. I already plugged in my measurements. He's 86 inches tall, 55-inch chest, and I think 4 inches of ease is a pretty decent amount for this guy. I would, since I'm making kind of a jacket type thing, I probably would do 2 inches on a normal person, but since he's, you know, a dinosaur, maybe I'll err a little bit bigger. I could do 3. I just like even numbers, so I'm doing 4. Okay. So we're starting with rectangle tool. Click anywhere in the 2D window to create the base pattern. So the width is going to be 29.5 inches, and the height is going to be 22.625. All right. So I have to go again. Oh my gosh, I already forgot them. 29.5, and then 22.6. Okay, here we go. 29.5, 22.625, and I round that to 625 because my training is in traditional patterning, and in the US our measurement system is terrible, and when you break it into decimals, 5/8 of an inch, because we break everything into eighths of an inch, is 0.625. So I just adhere to that, and just to keep consistency in my own life, but it is it's actually very anal. I don't recommend. Okay, so there's that. Cute. That looks promising. All right, what's next? right click line A, B. Oh, I should assign some points to this. I'm gonna wing it. I think I can figure it out. Right click line AB, that's the top line, offset as internal line 2 inches. Okay, so this is the shoulder slope line. So offset as internal line, oh, that's offset pattern outline. Offset as internal line, 2 inches. Okay, that looks good. So the slope is probably fine for the shoulder because although he's a dinosaur, the real life person who's wearing the dinosaur costume has a pretty average shoulder slope. Not that there is a real life person, there's not, it is just a dinosaur. Then that's that. Okay, so then again, AB, okay, 14 inches now. Okay, offset as internal line, 14 inches. Okay, and that's the chest line. Okay. Okay, offset as internal line. Okay, now we're doing AC, and it's going to be 10.5. Offset as internal line, 10.5 inches. Okay. And then the other side is going to be 11.5. Okay, I love these nice numbers. Okay, offset as internal line, 11.5. I debate when I make these tutorials on how many decimal points I should be accurate to, because on one hand, it's really annoying to have all these decimal points, but on the other hand, like I just really do want to know how to be perfect when I'm patterning because it matters. So I guess, you know, it's good to have more, and then I just round in my head. So I don't know, maybe that bugs other people. Let me know if that is something that bothers you, and, you know, I'll think about it. All right, so next step, now we have to select all the lines and then add points to intersections. So right click, add point to intersection. There we go. And then I'm pretty sure the next step is to turn them all into baselines. Yes. And it would be nice to have them all selected again. Here we go. And I only do that just to get them out of the way because this particular pattern draft has a lot of internal lines. Sometimes I just like leave them as internal lines, but there's enough going on with this pattern that it seemed helpful to just really make these baselines. Okie dokie. Okay. Add point split line tool. All right, now we're giving all these guidelines for the arm's eye. So right click baseline 1 and 3 to 8.5. Okay, so that's this one. And we're dividing it into 3. So right click that with the uniform split 3. Okay. And I happen to know we're not using that top point. It's just, I like to make things so that they are easy to split. You know, I like to use things that are like, okay, rather than using math, let's just like evenly divide things into multiple segments. Is just kind of a way that I like to work. And that translates well from flat patterning too, because a lot of flat patterning is like, how do we avoid the math? And they're like, oh, let's just fold this in thirds. Okay, great. Of course, then you have to know how to fold something in thirds, which I realized is not an innate knowledge that people possess. All right, baseline 3, 4 is to split into 2. Okay. And then this one over here, split that one into 2. All right, that's good. And now we're gonna add base rectangle, and this is going to be the neck guideline, 4.5. Love that for Dinger. Oh, so, oh my god, I'm so I didn't say anything. I didn't say. I love that for this dinosaur. Okay, great. Here we go. Base. Nope, that's just base polygon. Base rectangle. 4.5 and 4.5. Okay. And it automatically disappears into the abyss, so I have to unlock the baselines. There we go. All right. And then, oh, I'm supposed to offset it by, I didn't even like listen to my own instructions. So here we go. It's okay, I can still move it over like by 0.75. I did consider at one time that being a separate step, and maybe it should have been, because I don't know, I'm just like, that's all I needed, done. And I forget to say, like when you enter a baseline, you can actually put in direct coordinates on where it exists within that pattern. So I'm like, oh, I'll make this really easy for everyone. And I eliminated a step, but it actually just kind of is confusing. Okay, so transform pattern tool. Okay, so we're copying this over to here, and then we're dividing it by like 25. So for the back. So copy paste, and then I'm just gonna scale that at 25. Excellent. And then we're putting it above the pattern because that's where the back neckline goes. Okie dokie. That looks good. Yeah, and that's basically this whole block, which is actually, if you make a lot of blocks, and it's very simple and straightforward, so that's really nice. This next part, the only measurement we need is this 8 inches, and that's for the shoulder point. But we're just like connecting the dots between all of these, so. All right, so we're starting at the chest here, and I don't even name that point. I'm just like, okay, da 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 da, and then here it's 8, then down to here. Okay, so probably this is an easier task if you have 2 monitors. I'm very stubborn, and I am refusing to get 2 monitors. So, like, for example, right now I am just looking at my, like, I have my stream open on my laptop, like, which isn't even the same system. It's just like a MacBook over here. It seems fine. So in the meantime, I will just be switching back and forth between these screens. Okay, so back to here, clicking here, clicking here, clicking here, and then on this line, it's at 8 inches. So just as close as I can get it. I understand I can't be so anal, it's fine. And then down here, and then down here. This is actually looking like a very good block, especially for a dinosaur. So kudos to this block. Shout out to Sardhor System, which it is based on. Don't know if I'm supposed to use it either. But I'm a huge fan of sharing knowledge. So while I have a crusty spiral bound book that I inherited from my graduate professor who inherited from his graduate professor, I'm sharing this information with you for free. So great. Yay. Love that. Okay, the back is just a 1/2 inch longer than the front. And even though it's a little bit closer to, hey, it's closer to, I'm just going to do what it says in my guide. Okay, so and then 8.65, like somewhere over here. Okay, then I can just double click here. All right. Adding curve. So arm's eye and neck lines. Great. Okay, so adding curves. This one basically, I thought about trying to find a way to just be like, make it a circle and then delete the rest of the circle. But at the end of the day, this just seemed easier. Okay, and same back here. And then these are nice because they have guidelines to follow. And the important thing here is just to make sure that this is not at a peak, that this is at a right angle, but it still has to hit this point. And you're also being conscious of like what's going on up here too, because it has to be a right angle going into that line. That looks great. Maybe just, and the original pattern, there actually is another guideline on the back here, but I did enough experiments that I was like, you know what, if it hits this point, it's probably fine. You don't have to be as anal in some ways when you're in CLO because you can see the results while you're working on them. When you're just flat patterning on a paper, it's helpful to have even more instructions because you're like, I don't know what this arm's eye is going to look like when I cut it out, but when we're working this way, we're like, yeah, we can see what it looks like. The real trick is knowing what the arm's eye is supposed to look like. And also, what even is an arm's eye? I shouldn't take for granted that we all have that knowledge. So the arm's eye is this line right here, and when we make it into the sloper, it's the line that's going to go around the arm of the dinosaur. Maybe hard to visualize now, but once I cut this out, you'll see what it is. Okay, so... oh, we're actually going to add a little bit of a curve into the back, too. I don't know if that's entirely necessary for what I'm trying to make. So, you know what? I'm gonna put it in. I'm gonna follow the instructions. I'm gonna put it in. So, that's just like adding a curve point right to the center here, uniform split, and then dragging it in. Like, I don't know. I feel like I couldn't get even an arbitrary amount. It's like 0.2 inches because ideally it's 0.25 inches in, but it's not really a great way to measure that. Okay, so that's there. And now we just need to increase this body block so that it goes up to here so that we can actually cut this out. Okay, shift click to select all internal lines and then cut them, delete all the extra pieces, and then yay, let's free our block from its prison. Cut and delete that piece and that piece. Might just drag these over here. Okay, there we go. And then Command D to duplicate. You know how I love that. Okay, so here's what's going to be annoying. My, oh, he kind of does. My dinosaur kind of has arrangement points. We'll see how well they work. Wow, that's funny. Good job, Chloe, for letting my dino have arrangement points. Okay, let's get there. And I'm pretty sure the next steps after this, look at his tail, it's just totally getting in the way. I'm pretty sure the next steps after this are just to sew it. Yep. So here we go. I've got a lot of practice of sewing in Clo, but I know people who are just starting out really struggle with like visualizing the 2D thing and the 3D thing. So I do most of my sewing in the 2D window because sometimes I think it's really finicky to like click things in the 3D window. Oh no, look at him, he's so chubby. Oh, he does not fit his little sloper. Oh, it does not accommodate for his tum-tum. How unfortunate for Dinger the... Oh, sorry. For this dinosaur. I'm not allowed to say the dinosaur's name because I am not officially affiliated with the company that I am making this for, and they made it very clear to me that I wasn't supposed to say that I am doing this because it destroys the magic, so don't tell anyone, please. Okay. So actually, this is interesting. I feel like the last time, so I kind of worked on this a little bit before, and the last time what I did was took the measurement from the actual avatar, and I honestly thought that worked a little bit better because, like, okay, let's see how bad this is. Fit map. Okay, well, okay, it's not atrocious. Oh, and the other time I did it too, I did do 6 inches of ease. So I think we can rebuild. I think I'm going to take this measurement here, and I'm going to... Yeah, he's got giant sleeve. He's got giant... This is the arms eye right here. He's got giant arms eyes. I think I'm just going to adjust from here. And maybe I'll get my waist measurement and do that. In the meantime, I'm gonna start working. Hold on. I'm gonna save. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. All this information's publicly. Okay. Nobody look. I'm gonna save. Save. Okay. Dino. Okay. Go. Okay. We're done. And now I'm going to start with the pants. So. I'm gonna go to my, I think I have it open down here. Maybe it's over here. Pant block. Let's go. All right, my pant block guide. And I'm just gonna type in these measurements. Should be more discreet about this, so I might just pause this really quick. Actually, you know what? If anyone is like really paying attention, you know what, you live your best life, and for everyone else, I will edit this later. So let's go find those measurements. I think I had them open in a separate document. Here's, where'd they go? There's my body block, there's my pant block. Just put them here. Here we go. All my personal information. We love it. Okay. Oh, because he's here. Okay. All right. Okay, love it. Okay, so height, I think I already figured out the body block because I had to do some conversions. 86 inches. Oh, you know what happened in my last one? I don't think I had the height right, and so I don't think anything went down to the tail for me to, like, see that there was a problem. Okay, waist measurement is... where is it? Natural waist 71 inches. All right, let's go. 71, and then the hip is 80. Okay, we will see. I don't like, you know, I know where all these measurements are on a person, but when I measured this dinosaur, it's a little bit harder to tell where is the waist, where is the hip. So we'll see how this goes. Even though the body block's a little tight, I feel pretty good about how it landed. It's not trying to accommodate. It's the problem. Yeah, let's keep going. Okay. All right. Pants. Rectangle tool. Love to start there. So our width is going to be 20 and our height is going to be 20.625. So let's go. 20. Oh, here we go. Width 20, height 20.625. All right, sure. 20.625. Okay, and now right click line CD. Oh, we just made, oh, that's right, we just made CD. Okay, offset pattern, and then we're offsetting the length of the leg, which is going to be 33.75. Oops. Offset pattern, outline, 33.75. Oh, he's looking so stout. It's so cute. Okay. All right. And then now we're going to offset basically the crotch part of the leg. And it's going to be 5 inches. Wow. I just really am so pleased with myself for doing these auto-calculated measurements because I don't have the patience. Okay. Offset pattern outline, 5. Let's go. Okay. My thing is looking pretty good. Although, like, just, I don't know. I think it's interesting that the body block didn't ask for the waist measurement. Because I feel like if it did, we wouldn't be in this point where this is the waist here and this is the waist here. But I'm just going to marry them. It'll be fine. All right. Okay. Oh, point E and delete. Okay, so that's point down here. I just don't need it anymore. So delete that. And now we're going to right click line BD near D to create point 1. Okay, that's this point right here. 6.87 X 6.87 because that rounds it to 7/8. Okay, so that's the high hip line. Love to know that. Oh my gosh, come back here. Okay, and let's see, that was the, okay, and now right click HF. Okay, so we're adding a medium line here. It's okay, uniform split, done. All right, internal. Okay, so we're just gonna draw this crease line. Very cute. We love that the dinosaur has a crease line. Okay, sorry, I had to change some settings. on my stream. All right, done. So let's see. Where were we? I think I was, oh, I'm about to split that. Okay, then I'm drawing this internal line. So, right click. Okay, so click point 1, hold shift, and then double click line AC to create the drafting hip. Then click point 2, and then double click on increase. Okay, so essentially what we're doing is we are, oh, that's what I'm doing. I'm clicking here, double clicking here, that's the drafting hip. Okay, so then the crease is just going to go up from there, stop here, and then keep going and here, because we really want that crease to like have a little break point at the drafting hip and then keep going for a later step. So that's all we did. We just added that crease in there. And what's next? Click and drag box to box select. And I think there's an error in here. Somebody pointed out this to me. So sorry about that. I do need to, it's instead of 3, it's 2. I'm going to go through all of these. Actually, I have someone who's helping me go through all of these to edit them and create a style guide. So that will be really amazing. And they will hopefully catch all of these things. Thank you to them for that. All right, so click and drag to box select these points, click and drag, and then we're gonna move it over -1 on the x-axis. And the reason why we're doing that is to create a little bit of a slant in the pant leg. And this is really dependent on the way that the person and or dinosaur stands. So this dinosaur honestly stands pretty straight. There's like maybe, I'm still going to account for that tiny bit of slant just for the sake of it. So let's see, it moves it inwards just 1 inch. So box selecting those points and then clicking and dragging. When you click and drag and then you right click, it gives you the option to type in an exact number, which I do all the time because I'm anal. That's why. And I like to know where I've been, and I like to know why I've made the choices that I've made, so that when I get to the end of the pattern, I understand, like, oh, that is that way, and I made that choice because of this. It keeps me from like randomly moving points all over the place just to see if I get a good outcome. Like, it makes me more strategic about what I'm doing, which I think is a big concern when you digitally patterning, because when you're patterning with paper, you're very intentional about every choice you make, because making a mock-up takes forever. But when you're patterning digitally, it feels easier to be like, oh, I'm just gonna move this point here and see what happens, which is good because then you learn and you can see what happens. But the bad thing is that if you don't really understand why you moved that point and why it worked, you may have messed something else up somewhere else, which could really result in some fit issues. Anyway, that's my spiel on being exact with measurements. All right, so we moved that over 1 inch. All right, the next thing we need to do is actually tilt this. So I'm clicking, we have to use, I don't use this tool a lot, but when you need to use it, you need to use it. Transform point / segment tool. Just box selecting all these points, and then I'm rotating them so that it roughly equals 90. Oh, wow, I did that well. I'll take 90.5 and 89.5. That's pretty good. That is roughly a right angle there, so yay for that. And that was this step 7 right here. Okay, so step 8 is offset internal line my knee height. Okay, so 18.890. Just gonna offset that, offset as internal line, 18 point, you know what? Yeah, 0.875. Okie dokie. All right, and now that was extending. Okay, so we need to add points to those edges. So right click knee line, extend trim, and add point to pattern outline. Because that's also going to be useful later to have those points there. Okay, extend trim and add point to pattern outline. Okay, so it didn't look like it did much, but it basically split this into 2 different segments. which will allow me to kind of change around these things later. So, right. And now I'm going to, let's see what's next. All right, a bunch of clicking and dragging. Click and drag point A. And then moving is in, okay, so moving point A in 0.25 of an inch. Even on dinosaur scale, 0.25, okay. Not much, but okay. That was point A, 0.25 inches. And now line click AB and change length to 17.75, okay. So right click, change length. 17.75, okay. And now, click and drag point B, and it's going to go up 0.5 inches. Okay. And shift click lines H2 and 2F, H2 and 2F. And then we're gonna change this length to 9 inches. Oh, we're doing the cuff length. Okay, well, on a dinosaur, I don't know that this should be 9 inches, but I'm gonna make it 9 inches for now just to see what happens. I will inevitably be changing this. So 9, and then we want it to be evenly split at both points. Look how tiny that cuff is. Okay, I'm not gonna do 9, I'm going to do 12. That seems reasonable for a dinosaur. Maybe even 15, okay. You know what, we're doing 15. Okay, great, 15 inches, glad we had this talk. And then now line 3, 4, we're gonna change. I'm also gonna make that maybe 20 inches. Change length, 20 inches, just because he's a dinosaur, okay? The scale is what it is. And then I'm going to, I can always change all these later once I see it on him too. So I'm moving that there and that there to accommodate. Okay, this is looking like a dinosaur pant. I'm kind of obsessed. Okay. Now, trend swap pattern, click front pattern. Oh, we're gonna copy the front to be the back. Yay. Okay, so now we're basically done with the front, and I forgot that this was going to reduce. It's still bigger, but I can just expand this to be this length, so I think it'll be fine. So I'm not duplicating this pant because I want to be able to edit the front and the back separately, and they're going to be like duplicated with symmetric editing. So I'm just going to control copy and control paste, and there's my back. And, okay, so this is gonna be my back. All right, now for the back. Click and drag point C, and it's going to move over 0.5 inches on the x-axis. Okay, 0.5, oh, 0.5. Okay, and now GC, change length to 11, and it needs to be at the end, so change length 11, and at the end, okay, because we need this to go around his dinosaur booty. Okay, and then right click point A, and then the moving distance is going to be in and up 3.625. Okay, so x-axis 3.625, and then y-axis 3.625. That looks promising. Okay, click and drag and hold shift. Point B on back along x-axis until line AB. This is a lot of concurrent instructions, but bear with me. 19.375. Okay, so what that means is I'm just dragging this out on the same axis until it equals 19.375. Get zoom in so I can be more accurate. 19.37. Oh. Great. I'm very pleased with that. Okay, and then click points 1 and D on back and delete. Okay, which ones are 1 and D? 1 and D, okay. I think that's because all of this is being interrupted here. And now it's a straight line, like, it's so funny looking. I love it. Okay. So, now, what is next? Add point slit line. Right click line A, B to create 0.5. Okay, but this is on the back. See, this is like good to know. I've had some time away from this tutorial for a while and I'm like, what was I thinking? Like, this is so not clear. Maybe I should also be watching my video tutorial because that's like my idea. I'm like, you know, the guides and the tutorials really, the videos go really hand in hand. And I'm like, they don't really exist separately, except here is a confession. I hate watching video tutorials because they're just too slow for me. Like, I'd rather read something, and I'd actually rather read something like 9 times than just listen to it once. And that's a me problem, but that's also a motivation on why I make these written guides, because I simply do not want to hear my own voice and watch a tutorial again. I just want to watch the I just want to read the guide. All right, so here, where are we at? Add point split line. Right click line A, B. Okay, we're adding the dart point. And that's something else that I've added to my more recent tutorials is I've like written out the instructions of like, what are we actually trying to accomplish with this step, so that mostly me, I can follow it again later and be like, okay, we're adding a dart, a guideline for the dart here. That's what we're doing. Okay, so right click line A, B to create 0.5, and we're going to split in 2 because we want that dart to be right in the middle. All right, so uniform split 2, great. And now we can add that dart, and the width is 1.625. The length is 6.87. Okay, 1.625 and 6.87. So again, I love precision, which is why I include 3 decimal points, but it does make it annoying, and I understand that. But like, it's just so fun to be accurate, you know? Okay, 1.625 and 6.875. Let's remember that. Add dart. 1.625 a point. No, I forgot. Okay, let's see. 6.875. Okay. 6.875. And I'm sorry for getting sick. I have to go back and check that. Okay. And shape dart cap is good, so we can go ahead and click OK. And whenever it gives you this option, let's shape dart cap, I always just trust whatever Chloe says. I'm like, yeah, that looks fine. Great. Enter. Done. Okay, so now she has a dart. What's next? We're gonna add everyone's favorite part, which is the crotch curve. So click and drag point C on back to round corner by length. Oh yes, okay. And this is where there's a difference between whether the person who is Karen, so fun. It's just so fun to be accurate. A place you only hear from pattern makers and other engineers. You know, I consider myself a creative person, but I find so much joy in the creativity of math. So that's why I'm here. Okay, so like I was saying, the only difference between making a pair of pants for someone, well, especially this block, which accommodates for hip and all these other things, the only difference between making a pair of pants for somebody with assigned male at birth, or it's complicated, right? Because gender's complicated. But you know, if you're making clothes for someone, you have to be comfortable having these conversations. So, does somebody need accommodation for extra room in the crotch, or do they not? That's the conversation. And I can say that from what I know about this dinosaur, who does not typically wear pants. So that being said, this is a big stretch for this dinosaur because doesn't typically wear pants. I can say that no, the dinosaur does not need extra room in the crotch seam, so we're not going to put it in there. Karen says same as I'm pattern maker too. Math is fun. Yay, we love math. So glad that you're here. Even because it makes sense, because to watch this, it's all I'm doing is just reading off numbers. So clearly we are the people who are excited about reading off numbers. And yes, you're welcome. It's very important. This dinosaur's pronouns, by the way, are he, they. I know that information. I don't know that anybody else does, even if you know who this dinosaur is, but he, they. All right, so we're adding a curve here. And in the back, I'm pretty sure it's just dragging it out the full amount. So yeah, the curvature at 50%. We'll see what that curve looks like at this scale. So edit. Smooth curve. I don't use smooth curve a lot, but in this case, it really is the best tool for the job. Oops. Okay, so just clicking at this point and dragging it. You know what? That looks like a great curve. We won't know until we've really put it on him, but I think that's really going to serve us. So, and then the front, I'm also just going to drag it out the whole way. And, well, actually, what did I say? Yeah, we're just going to drag it all the way. We don't need that extra room, so that should have been the 5 inches. All right, so click and drag point G on back. Why? Oh, and then input moving distance. I guess we just needs to be a little bit of extra room. So negative. Oh, we're dropping it down a little bit. So we're actually, okay, that makes sense. I mean, it makes sense. So negative 0.5. And that's that's point G. Okay. And in this scale, it seems really silly to do such a small amount, but we're just following the instructions. Okay. So, oh my gosh, what curves are left? Oh, now it's the inseam curve, so under the leg. And actually this curve is interesting. All I say is just make it look as pictured. This curve is interesting because it does account for really how well the pant fits around the butt. So it's really like style preference based, and it's unfortunately something you kind of have to learn by doing it a lot. So I'll give some examples of what I think it should be for this, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so it's the G3 in the front and the G3 in the back, and then the BD on the front. Okay, that's that line. I think that might have to go through 1, but yeah, I think it's, oops, found another mistake. Oops. Okay, so I'm just going to do this hip curve first. So just dragging this out. And for this hip curve, I'm really just trying to look at like making a nice smooth curve kind of going all the way down this way. This is a little interesting, and I probably will have to adjust this curve a little bit later because it's a little bit, you know, pointy there, that I think that should be a nice, more smoother curve there without giving him too much of a hip moment here. And now for the inseam, what I'm going to start with is just kind of trying to make a smooth line extending from this leg, this is the knee line, so underneath the leg all the way into the crotch point. This can be kind of an egregious point. That's, you know, because I'm like, okay, one general rule I have for truing patterns is that everything's 90 degrees, 90 degrees, 90 degrees, 90 degrees. For example, like right here, this is a little bit more than 90 degrees, but I need to then true this to basically itself to kind of make sure that, like, I'm probably going to end up curving this down a little bit because it's like 92 degrees, but like just to make that 90 degrees, because if it's not a 90 degree angle here, it's going to create like either a peak at the center front of the pant, or it's going to create a dip at the center front of the pant. So like here, 106 degrees. Oh, that is scandalous. I will probably end up truing that later to also like 90 degrees. Like I'm gonna have to do this, or else there's going to be a peak there, unless for some reason the angle and the whatever it's sewn to is accommodating for that. Anyway, so I'm like, I'm just a 90 degree queen. But in this case, it can be this very acute angle, and that is fine. And actually, what I was talking about earlier with how this curve here, how it affects, like if this curve is like really acute and like really kind of pinching in, it's going to really hug under the butt. And if it's like really you know, kind of like this, kind of how it was before I curved anything. It's going to be a much looser fitted trouser. It's going to look actually more like a skirt. Like it's not going to cup under the butt as much. These are things, let me tell you, before CLO, very hard to figure out because the amount of mock-ups that we needed to make just to see what controlled what and how pants fit how was just egregious. And now in CLO, it won't work with my dinosaur, but I will just like hide one leg and be like, oh, so that's what that does. So my understanding of this part of this pant anatomy just increased dramatically with CLO. Okay, so there's that. This one, I'm just gonna, oh, did I already actually curve this one? This one does not need as much here. The front generally is not as curved. Also, fun fact, generally the back is longer. I didn't even curve that front at all. Generally the back is longer than the front, and when you're sewing it, you just kind of like ease in all of that extra length, and that also kind of helps something, the pant cup under the butt. Just fun fact, and it's usually like within the last like 6 inches or like halfway through this line here, which I don't have a mark there. Anyway, that was long. All right, where are we at? Transform. Oh, good. We're ready to duplicate our patterns with symmetric sewing. So my favorite thing, Control D. And there we go, 2 fronts and 2 backs. And now we can start sewing them together. These look like very cute little squat pants. I'm gonna save this. Okay. All right, sewing. Oh my gosh. Sewing pants. And if you're somebody who has only, or maybe you're a digital person who's only ever worked in digital space and garments, and you're confused by pants, don't worry, we all are. I think it's very funny that a classic intro project is typically like a pair of pajamas, because you're like, how hard could pajamas be? But like sewing pants is not intuitive. There's a lot of seams that you think would sew to each other, and they simply don't. So we're gonna, I mean, we'll even see if I get it right the first time, because I know what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to sew the out seam, I'm supposed to sew the crotch seam, and I'm supposed to sew, oh, the back, okay, this is, yeah, okay, the front crotch seam and the back crotch seam, and then the out seams, right? Okay, I think I need to look at this again. This is unclear. But let's just see what we can do. Let's see if our, they're so big. Why are your pants so long, Dinger? Sorry, you random dinosaur. Okay, and we're gonna have to accommodate for the tail here. This is so funny. Okay, Sartor system. Let's put this here. One thing that's great about the system that these pants are based off of is that they do accommodate for different body types, and what the system is actually doing is calculating ideal proportions based on the height, which I know, ideal proportions, but the system really was designed for creating period menswear, not contemporary menswear. So there is a sense of like what was ideally attractive in the past. Like that is an objective thing that we can talk about without like confusing like modern beauty standards. So like the ideal period silhouette, and it calculates that from the height. So like just to like make generally like the wear look proportionate, which is kind of a debate when you're making custom clothing. Do you follow the wearer's like measurements exactly and make something that's perfectly fits them? Because if so, you actually might be drawing attention to different ways that their body doesn't fit typical beauty standards. Or do you make clothing that follows a certain set of principles that follow these certain set of proportions, and then the person who's wearing it looks more proportionate according to sets of beauty standards? So you really get to make those choices. This particular pattern, however, follows that like beauty standard set, which I think works really well for pants because pants are really hard, and you can make it. So I just say, you know what, make the pants the perfect, you know, proportions and then fit them differently if however you want after that. I think it's a lot easier than, I don't know, I've made a lot of pants that were like to my measurements that I'm like, oh yeah, this kind of fits, but not how I want it to. Or like it fits really well, but it's not how I want it to fit. I don't know. It's an interesting thing. So to use this pant block for this dinosaur is actually very funny. Like we're trying to make it proportionate. And again, I don't know if this will work. So we'll see. We'll see. All right. So sewing. All right. We need to sew this inseam, and this is a lot easier to see in 3D too, to this inseam. Okay, and then I'll do the same with the under the knee there. Did that sew? No. Okay. And now, oh, good. I'm just going to sew this top of the crotch seam because I'm going to leave that open for the tail. And now the front. Okay. And there. And okay, I actually am, oh, I'm going to do this all in one line, this one here. So I'm going to use, and I was using the segment sewing tool, but I'm going to use the free sewing tool, the MN free sewing tool, because it's a little bit easier to do this. But I kind of want to see, okay, that one's sewn to that one. So this pant line gets sewn to this pant line. That looks right. All right. Moment of truth. Oh no. Okay, well we're gonna need some help here getting this around here. I actually might undo some of this sewing below the knee just to make this a little bit easier. How about that? Go there, go there. Let's see, and just loosen it up a little bit. When you're sewing on like an avatar, it does a little bit of a, oh, where's, okay, that's the open crotch seam underneath the tail. So I wonder how much of this I should sew. Okay, maybe like that. And then I actually think it needs to be open more above the tail. So like it can really only be like 5 inches long before we need space for that tail. Oh, this is gonna take some problem solving for sure. Okay. When I get into this type of situation, I do tend to waste a lot of time just clicking and dragging the simulation to keep it from doing this. Easier tools exist, like I can go over here and select mesh box and then figure out where my problem area actually is. It's like right here. And then I can just click that and drag it out. See, look how much easier that was. But truly, to be completely honest, I usually just spend a lot, copious amounts of time just clicking and dragging and fussing things into place. I don't know what that's about. I think that it helps me with my efficiency because everything else, I try to be so efficient. And sometimes I just need space for my brain to zone out while I just click and drag fabric and move it. Digital fabric and then move it out of the way. Okay. I think I'm going back to that tool now. The other thing like I was doing before is just making this shorter so that I can kind of pull it out individually. Yeah. Okay, there you go. And the other problem is that your legs are so short. I love, oh my gosh, it's so funny to me. How it honestly, look at this. This fits around his booty so well. We just need room for his tail. Ultimately, what I'm making, I guess I didn't say what the end goal of this is, but I'm making a Star Wars Rebel pilot costume for the dinosaur, for Star Wars Day. And, so I will be sewing these pants to the top of the block, and I kind of think that where that seam is will probably be where the opening of the tail is. Actually, curious now how it all actually sewed together. See if I can have a thick textured surface. That'll be easier to see. Yeah. All right, so what are we at here? This one is 17.86, I think. I think I'm just gonna change this length to 17.86, and I'm gonna add it to the end. Karen, yeah, I know. Thanks for bringing that up. The balance lines. I know, like the Star Wars system pants, kind of great. Yeah, clearly you have drafted pants many times and know what a struggle bus this is. I'm also impressed, just like this part right here. Yeah, and the Sartor system also includes what it calls the corpulence adjustment, which I am not going to do because I just have never done it before, and so I could try that on this dinosaur as well too. I'd have to get my crusty spiral bound book out. I'm not even joking. It is written on a typewriter. Okay, so that's 17.7. Okay, change length. 17 point. I'm gonna make it 75 because I love numbers. Okay. All right. And I don't know. Do we think that he even needs the dart? I kind of think because I'm making a jumpsuit, I'm going to end up taking it out anyway. So maybe I'll just leave it in for now just to have that basic block. But I'm going to sew this to there and that to there. Great. Oh, that was not right. I just twisted my sewing around. Yeah, that was not right. What I did was when I just copied it, I was like, there we go, we're fine. But now we're good. Okay. Oh, I need my M to N free sewing to sew this. Okay. And this can just be sewn like that. All right. Oh, I'm dead. It's just so funny. Okay, the only thing is like the Sartor system did not account for like I don't know. I guess it's just like the proportion of the body that is body versus legs. Oh, you know what it is? I don't know, this is really hard to tell. But it's because his like waist to crotch length is so unbelievably long. But it seems to have accommodated for that. Like we don't have any like stretch issues there. But because that's so unbelievably a part of his body, it's not like accommodating for like, why are your legs so long? Because this line right here is his knee line. So that being said, the question is, should I shorten this line or should I just like cut it off? I kind of think I should just cut it off because, you know, I know that he can't have very long of pants anyway because of tripping hazards. So maybe I'm gonna undo some of the sewing at the center back and maybe pull up some of this other sewing higher. Is that too high? And then on the other side too. Let's see how that looks. Oh, no. Not flattering. Oh, maybe not so bad. I think I will also, I don't remember what I did on the last one. There is like a style preference to whether or not the dinosaur wants like the tail to be cut out around, you know, like a hole here. So like, for example, what I would do is from here to here, I would like kind of curve that out to create a hole. And to see how that like lays so much nicer. But like it's a style of preference on whether the dinosaur wants that hole to accommodate his tail or if he wants it to look like, oh no, the dinosaur just went to the store and then he had to cut a, you know, he had to just like rip a hole in the seam for his own tail because he bought this at the store. It's all of this dinosaur lore that we must adhere to because even as a pattern maker, you're still a storyteller. I think I'm just going to leave it as is for now. I might lower this maybe to here, maybe 14 inches total. Okay, and then same on the other side. Okay. Oh, great. Even then, it still looks like that's too high, but it's nice to leave it and then we can discuss in the fitting. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I think I am just going to maybe yeah, because I'm really liking the curve that's happening here with everything else. I might just cut it off at the knee. I think it's trued below the knee, so it shouldn't create much of a difference if I just cut it. And then delete all of these. Oh, there he is. And then I can, when I'm making my, look, I don't know, I feel like I need to lengthen that in. Oh, is it even sewn? Is that whole inseam because I had to shorten it? Let's go ahead and sew that now. And then the outseam is sewn. Oh my god. Oh no, look at, did you guys see what I just did? I did the intro to sewing pajama mistake. And I made a skirt. Rest in peace. I've been sewing for 16. No, I've been sewing for 20 years. And here we are. Okay, that's not what we wanted. Blum, 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 blum. I need to use the 3D window because my brain isn't going to work at this point. Okay, so that one gets sewn. You get sewn to there, okay. Yes, it's so true. It's so much easier to go back. I don't know if that was the right thing I just did. Is it right or is it colliding? It's like the 11 p.m. brain that I have a rule. Don't sew past 11. Okay, we're gonna try this again. N here to N here. Okay, that's what it needs to be. There you go. It's adorable. Oh my god, I just forgot he needs sleeves too. It's good. You know what? My brain is falling apart, but it has to be done. I can go back and make more adjustments to this later. So here we go. Sleeve pattern. Oh, I have to find it on my computer. Please, everyone, avert your eyes. You're all up in my business now, okay? Here's my file organization strategy that I will edit out later. Okay. Sleeve, copy that, paste that. I always have to remember to do that because if I mess up the master pattern, that will be very sad for me by like inputting weird measurements in. Okay, so here's sleeve. This one's a really good one. I use this sleeve for everything. Always. It's just like a really good sleeve, very balanced. It works for everything, all genders, all styles, all periods, always. Okay, so the height we established is 86 inches. 86. Okay, the arm's eye of the garment. This is true. We need to actually fit this arm's eye before we drop the sleeve. Which honestly, now that I've added that extra to the waist, even though, you know, it looks atrocious. I mean, it looks atrocious to my eyes because I'm used to seeing blocks that are for people. I guess this is what a dinosaur block just looks like, so maybe I shouldn't be so harsh. But actually, you know, my fit map is on and it's actually fitting really great. And I do want that extra room. I do want that to be long. He's got kind of like skinny little arms anyway. We kind of want to make him look pretty cool with this jumpsuit. So I'm just gonna go for it. I'm gonna go ahead and grab this measurement here, and it looks like it's 28.75. 28.75. Desired ease. I actually don't want any, because I think it's gonna be a looser fit. Do I? Okay, The only reason why I would want ease is to like really accommodate like shoulderness, but like there's not a lot of shoulder to accommodate here. I really think it's gonna fit him more like a T-shaped garment. So I don't know. Like, I just don't think we're gonna need a lot of, so yeah, no ease. Era of garment. So here's my options: 16th century, 17th century, 18th century, 19th century, and modern. And that all really just has to do with the cap height, because earlier in history, it's like when the sleeve was first invented in Western fashion, and it wasn't, but you know, hear me out. Okay, in Western fashion, the evolution of the sleeve is from a T shape into a shape, like a separate sleeve that has like a cap, has a little bit of a crown here, and then it just gets more and more and more. And now today, it's we mostly just have our arms at our sides, so we like want things to look smooth with our arms down and not our arms out. So we have that's my explanation on sleeve caps. I don't know that it's true, but there you go. So we're gonna just do a modern one just to see what happens. We can change it later. Okay. In earlier versions of my tutorials, like made this way too prominent, and I'm still trying to figure out a way to like, I still want to show the math, but I don't want to stress people out with it, because SL divided by 2 plus 1.5 times the, oh yeah, the square root of the arm side divided by 2 plus east divided by 2 squared minus the cap height squared is kind of an intense calculation that I am very proud of. Thank you. I do not have a degree in math. I don't even have like better than, I like took the least math in high school that you could possibly take to graduate. And then I had a fever when I went to college and I accidentally tested it out of advanced math, but it was, I swear to God, only because I had a fever when I took my placement test. It was a total accident. So my math skills are lacking, for as much as I love it. That is probably my one regret from undergrad, is not taking more math classes. Anyway, here we go. Rectangle. Width 13.5 and height 28.5. Okay, let's go. Width 13.5, height 28.5. Okay. Next, draft the bicep line. So we're going to offset AB by 6.25. Offset pattern, offset is internal line. 6.25. And that is the bicep line, aka we offset the cap height. Okay, draft the elbow line, 16 inches, easy, we can do that. Offset internal line, 16 inches. What this pattern, like the other Sartor patterns does, is it's going to draft like a proportionate sleeve to the height. So we'll see how long this sleeve is too. It might also be like a thing that we cut off at the elbow, because rather than taking the length of the arm as the measurement, it's taking the full height as the measurement. So, okay. Adjust the arm side. Click and drag point A and drag down on the y-axis until point A intersects the bicep line. Easy enough. We can do that. So this line just goes doop, like that. Okay. Naturally. Okay. And now add curves to the sleeve cap. Curve points 1, 2, and 3. So we're dividing it in a uniform split. And then, okay. So yes. Oh. I'm not actually a PC person, if you can't tell by how difficult of a time I'm having navigating the controls of a PC. I do most of my CLO work actually on my Mac. Well, I do this kind of work on my PC because the Dinosaur really requires a lot of power, but I do most of my work otherwise on my Mac. So I'm bilingual in computers, and that's about it. All right, I do have to click somewhere else in the screen just to deselect those, or else it tries to select them all. And this is another, oh, this is not the right tool. I needed to divide these into curve points. So that was the V. Okay, now uniform split. Now they're red, so they're curve points. This is another place where like the Sartor system gives all of this like anal advice on like this curve, which is so helpful if you're trying to figure out what the heck a arm, you know, a cap curve is supposed to look like. But my advice is just to add 3 curve points, 1 in the middle, 2 on each side, and then to drag them so that they create a 90-degree angle with these points. Again, those 90-degree angles, I love them. So that it just creates a kind of essentially a perfect S curve. And then from there you can adjust, but we love an S curve. All right, that was that. That was where my sleeve curves. Step 5, nailed it. Love at some point in my journey I started labeling my screenshots so I know what step that they're referring to. Thank you, me. All right, now we unfold the pattern and we give ourselves a center line. And I don't understand this next right click point. Oh, okay. We don't actually have to think too hard about it. This is an occasion that I give myself more information than I needed. So we're just adding a perpendicular internal line local, and then it should automatically populate with the length. 28.5, yeah, basically. All right, so then, notching, click curve point 2, and then click curve point 3 twice. Okay, so this is going to be the front. So I'm just going to add a notch here, and that's going to give me an indication of how to sew this. And I'm going to do the other one just like, I guess right there. I don't know. So 2 notches in the back, 1 notch in the front. And now we're going to sew it. Let's see how it'll wrap around his arms. Okay. Free sewing. Click point 8 on sleeve, click notch 2 on sleeve. Why? Oh, I understand. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is figure out where the sleeve goes. Okay, so Control F. Oh, it will let me wrap it around. Okay, so this is the front. Therefore, this is the front. Heck yeah. And just to check it, I'm going to click there. Yeah, that's the front. That's the front. Okay, and then who are you? You're the front. So I'm going to move this over here to make this easier for myself. You're the front. And just to double check, you're the back. Yeah, okay. So we're going to start by sewing the underarm seam because we want to distribute the fullness of the sleeve like all in the top of the sleeve. So we actually want to sew the underarm sleeve of the sleeve first so that we know where that's supposed to line up. I'm essentially truing the sleeve to the garment while I'm sewing it to the garment. So that's the M tool here, just to that notch here, and then here's where the notch would be on the front, same on the back, just to that notch, here just to that notch. Okay, and then I need to get the free sewing tool for the rest of it. So here to here is to here to here, and then enter, and here to here is to there. And see, even though I didn't add any extra ease in the cap, it still has like, what is this? Like a 0.8 of an inch. So I'm glad that I didn't add any extra ease. Okay, let's see how it looks. Heck yeah. And this is what I mean. Look how, like, I know his arms are in a T pose, but I do think that when I make this into a jumpsuit, I'm probably going to shorten that cap quite a bit. And actually, I have to look at the jumpsuit that I'm making to see if it might actually not even have as, you know, it might be cut in a T shape because it is a Star Wars thing. But yeah, I actually just kind of want to see what happens if I just drag this down, maybe even 2 inches, and see what that looks like. Yeah, that looks a lot better. And then I need to adjust these curve points so that they're still 90 degrees. And they're not perfectly symmetrical anymore, but that's okay. Life goes on. Even then, he really just, and maybe I remember this from making, the last time this dinosaur wanted a costume, he was a Harry Potter character, and I do remember that his robe was actually a very T-shape. So Karen says, accommodating to dinosaur shoulder slope is probably different from human shoulders. Yeah, I'm thinking that might be the case, but also we've been surprised before with some other parts of this pattern, so maybe all dinosaurs' shoulders are that 16th century cap height, and that maybe I should actually add that to the guide. Just like, okay, so 16th century, 17th century, 18th century, contemporary, and dinosaur. Maybe that should be an option. I kind of think I'm going to lower this even more. I'm going to go to the Z tool to do that. And let's go 1 more inch. Okay. Now, knowing what I know now, I kind of want to see what happens if I draft this sleeve from scratch, just with a shorter sleeve cap in the first place. Just because it's that same thing that I said, just fussing around so much, you can just really distort things in ways that you never intended. But this is actually... I really just don't think he needs any cap at all. That's what I think this dinosaur wants. But I'm going to go ahead and... Oh, you know, I just thought of something. The whole sleeve proportionately is too long, so I wonder what happens if I just... And I'm going to experiment here, because I want to understand what is happening here. I want to go back to this original sleeve I have, and then just shorten the entire thing equally until I kind of get this cap height. So let's see what happens. There we go. So going to the transform pattern tool and just doing an even, like let's say 75%. And so that's going to shorten the cap height and the rest of everything else. Which, because I was like, oh, I want to put that elbow point, that elbow line in a different place anyway. Yeah, that did help. But I think it still wants to be even less. Though, like I said, he is in a T-pose, and like how often is the dinosaur going to be doing this? Actually, probably a lot, because he probably hugs a lot of kids. So, I'm going to go ahead and just change this down, and then I want to double check my sewing. Move that down 2 inches. I'm going to double check my sewing, and then I think that is a good place for today. This is already more than I was hoping to accomplish. So thank you all for joining me, because this was kind of the last thing I wanted to work on today. It was a little bit more fun, although let me tell you, performing while you're patterning is a whole other challenge that only those who teach patterning probably understand. Look at that. Cute. Just duplicate that. Oh no. No, 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 no. Go up. I don't know if this happens to anyone else, but after my cloak has been open for a while, my gizmo just stops loading. And I just have to reset it. All right, I'll probably open that back up and kind of check things. Oh, I did want to check my sewing really quick, just to make sure that nothing weird happened with this underarms. Yeah, it did. So we're going to adjust that really quick. Yes. And then lengthen you. I might just delete that and just start over, because I wonder when I lowered that cap if I actually made it smaller. We'll see. We'll see. MN, click there, click there, click there, click there, enter. Yeah, no, we're still good. Okay, minimal difference, but it matters when you're making patterns. I mean, if you're going to make something in real life, you want to make sure it works. And yes, this is how small his neck is. I don't have his head here, but I can put it on. But yeah, that's essentially, we don't really see his neck very much. I'll probably end up shaping this back a little bit. But for now, I'm very happy with how this turned out. And yeah, thanks everyone for joining. This has been fun. I'm really proud of this weird looking pattern that we made. So, all right, thanks all.